Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Gugolz and Guest. This is the first one we will be recording in 2022. And today I will be welcoming Tony Sutton from Specialist Financial Services. Welcome, Tony. Good to have you on.
Welcome, Christian. Good to see you. First time this year.
Yeah, it's great. It's good. It's finally. I think things are finally starting to open up again now. Obviously, we're on Zoom now, but I think things are starting to get better. I think from my perspective, hopefully from yours as well.
Oh, it is. Yeah. Without a doubt, we're seeing some very encouraging signs. So, yeah.
Good. Excellent.
No complaints.
So we'll jump straight in with question one, which is a bit of an interesting one from my perspective because of how the market is at the moment. But I'm just interested to know what you look for when deciding which lender to use on your deals.
I mean, we do things. So, for example, straight away, we look to see where their funding comes from. So we want to make sure that it's not just coming from one wealthy individual. Yeah. Because, of course, if that wealthy individual decides to pull out, then that lender goes. So it's like different sources of funding. Maybe they've got bank funding, private funders, etc., etc. Yeah. You look to see who's heading up, who's actually at the helm, and who the senior people are within that lender. Yeah. Do they have experience within bridging? Yeah. So we want to make sure the background of the people is good enough. We also, one of the things we are very, very strong on is we look at what their policy is when things go wrong. Now, we've just been through 2-year lockdown. Yeah. And the FCA gave out a directive to lenders not to penalise borrowers if they went into arrears or over term on things, please.
Fantastic. Okay, well, moving on to something hopefully a little bit nice to talk about. We do a bridging trends on a quarterly basis, and we did one for the whole of 2021, and the average bridging rate actually dropped from 0.79 to 0.6 from 2020 into 2021. Do you envisage that dropping even more this year?
My head says no, because we're seeing interest rates increase. I think believe me, I'm by no way an economist. Yeah. If I had a crystal ball, I certainly wouldn't be in financial services. I would be sitting on the beach somewhere just doing the lottery every week. Yeah. So my head says no. Competition between lenders, though. Yeah. Did I ever think bridging rates would be in the starting from 0.3s in some cases, 0.4s? Absolutely not. Yeah. But of course, competition drives that. That's the one good thing that competition does do. What we want to make sure is that every time there's been a problem in the past, it's always because lenders, their margins were too fine, and of course, as soon as something goes slightly wrong, things take a bit of a downturn. Yeah. And all of a sudden, you've got lenders disappearing. And if we haven't got lenders, we can't arrange finance for people. Course.
I think you're right. I think it has been the competition that has driven the rates itself. But I personally can't see how rates can drop even more. Because effectively, if you're dropping more than kind of 0.3 or 0.39, I think the lowest I've seen, you're going to end up having lower rates than you would on a buy-to-let, on a specialist buy-to-let. So it'd be interesting to see, but I think the average rate will probably drop because I think the rates are dropping. So I think overall the average rate will drop, but I think rates themselves, I don't think they can get any lower.
I don't think the headline rates can get much lower. You're right. I think it's going to be a case that where what we call the middle market, which is not a bad thing because that's where a lot of business is done. There's a lot of competition there. And there is some flexibility as well amongst lenders because they're all basically, there's some good deals out there. Yeah. Let's face it, a rate often is there to be, okay, we can get this through so-and-so, can you beat it? And then, they do come back with a point. Inflation, I think, who knows what's meant in inflation? I'm not an economist at all. Yeah. I walked away from school with 4 O-levels and none of them were in economics, I can assure you. But I think probably with inflation, the way things are going, everything's getting more expensive. Yeah. So
who knows?
I personally can't see things, really. But
time will tell.
Time will tell. Who would have said in 2009 we would have had 13 years of interest rates under 1%? I certainly didn't believe it.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So.
Okay, well, again, it's a similar subject, I suppose, not to a degree, but according to Nationwide, house prices actually rose. House prices rose 11% in 2021, which is a fair amount. Where, again, you're not an economist, but where do you think house prices will go this year? Do you think they'll kind of stay as they are? Or do you think they'll continue going up?
First thing to say is, who would have thought property prices would have gone up during the 2 lockdowns? I certainly never guessed that, but. Again, what do I know? I'm just a lowly finance broker. But they did go up. They went up significantly. Where we are in Berkhamsted, prices in the last 12 months have gone up by 18%.
Wow.
which is great if you're in a property in Berkhamsted. Not so great if you're trying to buy a property in Berkhamsted, because it's a safe bet.
Well,
for me, property prices only one way. Certain areas are going to suffer, but certainly southeast. Yeah, let's face it. In 15 years, my property price has more than doubled.
Yeah, it is incredible what's happened, especially I think, as you mentioned, over the two years. I think obviously it became more people were looking to buy, and obviously with the stamp duty as well, that obviously affected things. I think people were trying to buy when they didn't necessarily have to. Yes. And I think that possibly drove the prices up, because people were people who were in a good position to sell and could put the prices up. So I think that's the main driver, but we'll see what happens this year. It'll be interesting. Yeah,
and there's more and more lenders now on the regulated market that are coming out with products that are aimed at first-time buyers who struggle to get on the housing market because of lack of deposit or just basically lack of income sometimes. Yeah. So there's all these. I've been looking at these this morning, and there are some great products out.
And just finally, more of a kind of a personal question, and towards your company. Is there anything new on the horizon for yourself and Specialist Financial Services this year?
Certainly is. Yeah, last year we expanded or began our expansion into the invoice finance, asset finance, business lending, which is now getting some traction, which is good. We expanded our packager panel across regulated mortgages, buy-to-let, commercial and bridging. We've now got a significant panel. Looking to expand into more networks. I think there's certainly now room as the networks, seeing how some of the networks have increased their number of ARs that they could. I mean, we're different to a lot of the bigger brokers. I run a staff that have all been with me for a certain amount of time. They've all got at least 5 years experience. I've got 3 staff who've got over 20 years experience in the specialist market. I'm not talking about just in financial services, but in the specialist market. Last thing we're really concentrating is more direct to consumer. Okay. Because the consumers do not understand there's a specialist market. Yeah. And there was a survey before lockdown. I haven't got the figures to hand, but the survey before lockdown was that how many people who apply for a mortgage, as an example, if they're told no, just don't bother applying again. And it was huge. I mean, from memory, I think it's in the region of something like 63% or something. I mean,
that doesn't actually surprise me. I mean, being completely honest, before I joined the financial services world, I wasn't aware. And I don't think that's necessarily down to the consumer's fault. I think a lot of it's down to education, and actually getting out there as an industry, and actually making sure that people are aware there are other options available. So,
and very much so. It's all about customer awareness, because most customers don't know the difference between a payday loan and a mortgage. They haven't got a clue. Just look at Facebook. It's frightening.
I think frightening is more the word. And again, I think it is down to the education. I think as a whole, there is a big education piece to be done, particularly for I think brokers and lenders that do work directly with consumers. And we work directly with consumers, and we make sure that we educate them on exactly what is going on as well, because you don't want to, and particularly on bridging, you don't want to provide a bridging loan to somebody that doesn't necessarily need it. Yes. And I think that is the most important thing. It's just ensuring that you are still, as you said, treating the customers fairly and making sure they have the right product.
It's got paramount, absolutely paramount. It's paramount if you have an introducer. I could have an introducer give me 100 as good as your last completion.
Yeah, exactly that.
Pretty much. That as a broker, it also goes for lenders as well, obviously. But you are only as good as your last completion, as far as when it comes to the introduced market. So, but I think 2022 is going to be a good year, as long as we steer clear of any further lockdowns or variants. I think it's going to be a great year for us, because there is a lot of people that have put plans on hold that are going to want to borrow.
I agree. And on that note, I think this is a good place to end it, because I think 2022, as you said, is going to be a good year, I think, for the whole of the industry. So thanks very much, Tony, for your time today. It's been great.
You're very welcome.
And we'll catch up soon. Thanks,
Tony. We will do. Cheers. Cheers.